the morning, 1:30.
By the time she got to bed, it was almost 3, so she got only about 3.5 hours sleep.
If I didn't get, I got like 7 hours of sleep Friday night. If I didn't get 7 hours of sleep, yesterday would have been a lot more difficult.
I got 3.5.
Because for those of you who are listening right now, we got up at 6 o'clock in the morning Saturday. I mean, it's not out of the ordinary for any of us, but we were on the go from 6 o'clock in the morning until we got home at 2 a.m. Just nonstop.
And had to be up at 6 a.m. to drive back to the airport.
We had to be back up at 6 a.m. this morning. So we got 4 hours. I mean, we both went back to sleep when we got back, but it was a long day, but I couldn't have asked for anything better.
It was awesome. Bob was great. I mean, he was just he was anything we wanted to do. He was willing to do, and which was pretty cool. Like, I was figuring, I'm like, 65-year-old man. He's probably gonna want to go home, back to the hotel after the Warriors of Wrestling show, and I just threw it out there. I said, look, Charlie Haas and
Shelton
Benjamin and that group are gonna go to the diner after the show.
After Warriors of Wrestling,
they want to know if we wanted to come, and he was like. And he looked like he was like starting to doze off too at the show. He just picked his head up and he was like,
"Food,
food again."
He patted his stomach
again. Okay.
He didn't eat, but
he didn't eat, but he had a couple beers though. So it's liquid bread.
Yeah, there you go.
Which was funny because when we asked him, we were going to make the breakfast sandwiches Saturday morning, so. I don't know what he eats. I don't know his medical situation.
I don't keep track of what Hall of Famers eat. But
so I was like, do you want a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll? And he stopped, looked at us, and said, "He's like, I like bacon, egg, and cheese and bread."
He said it all separate. He's like, I like bacon, I like egg, I like cheese, I like bread.
I like bread. Yeah,
sounds good to me.
So I was like, already then. So yeah. So all of us at some opportunity were attempting to eat our breakfast sandwiches, whether in a car or sneaking behind the table at the convention.
Yeah,
eating and then you had Justin Credible who showed up around a little bit before 11, and he kind of forgot that being at a convention requires you to sit at your table and sign autographs. He had so much fun walking around, just meeting his old coworkers and everything else. He totally lost track of time.
And you know what? When you're in that situation, I mean, he says he does a lot of conventions, which he does, but
every convention brings different people,
so. And some of those people, I know he was hanging out with Deborah, former manager Taz. He was doing a Q&A next door for a little while, and I mean, he had fun, and that's all we want from our guests. We want our guests to have a good time. And I know Casey had a great time. Bob seemed like he had an absolute blast. He was hanging out. We got to meet and hang out with Nikolai Volkov.
Don Morocco.
Don Morocco swung by.
Mr. Wonderful
Paul Orndorff, who you put on a cowboy hat. Please look at the Facebook page. He is the string tight underneath his chin. He looks like a 5-year-old.
He looks like a 5-year-old waiting to get on the quarter-operated horse at the supermarket.
It was. We got to meet a lot of people.
And Ricky O came over. He got a cowboy hat as well. He wore it the same way.
Yeah,
all stuck under his chin.
But Bob was, I want to say something about Bob. He was just so great with the fans. The kids would come up and their parents would be like, yeah, this is Randy Orton's dad. Like, I used to watch him wrestle, and the kids were super excited. They'd ask him about Randy and this and that. And Bob was so welcoming. He was taking pictures, smiling with everybody. I mean, you see some wrestlers who take pictures with fans, and they got the oh my god, I'm tired face, or why am I here face. Bob he smiled in every single picture that he took yesterday, and shook everybody's hand that he gave an autograph to, or this or that.
And one thing I realized about him, which we've brought people to shows before, or we've sat next to promoters. People flocked to him.
Yeah.
Like Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer were flocking to him
Bob
to talk to him and say hello, give him a hug, swap a quick conversation, and and then move on. Which I've never seen before. Like, we've sat next to Bobby Heenan.
Yep.
Sat across from Larry Zbyszko. We sat.
Jimmy Hart was next to us.
Jimmy
Hart, one event.
Greg Valentine, Andrew Anderson, Bruce Beefcake, Honky Tonk Man. They're all sitting across from us
in other events,
at another Legends event, and that, you know, people say hello in passing, you know,
Yeah.
high fives, and occasionally get a picture. I remember with the Jimmy Hart group, I think Tugboat went over and said hello, took a picture with them, and things like that. But every time he turned around, there was a Hall of Famer standing behind me.
And like each time the
To
next
say
room
hello to him.
each time the room next to us, there was like a VIP over there where like there's 3 or 4 different people that would be signing, and every time it would slow down, Bob would be like, "Do you mind if I go say hi to some Bob? Go do what you got to do, man. Like go say hi to your friend." So Bob would run next door. He'd say hi to a bunch of people, come back over 10-15 minutes later, and boom, sit right back down and get right back to it. Sign autographs, take pictures, and not even just Hall of Famers were swinging by. You had active talent right now. And I mean, Kevin and I were talking about this before, and I was telling JT about this, that there was 6 members of this season's Tough Enough crew that were there. And I want to say something about one person in particular, Patrick Clark, who was a big favorite on that show. Like, a lot of people thought he would win. And this isn't saying anything bad about the other 5, but Patrick was the only one.
But they should learn something from
Yes.
this.
Patrick Clark was the only one to walk around to every single Hall of Famer and every single wrestler in that room and at least say hi, shake their hand, and say thank you for what you do. He stood next to Bob Orton, had at least a 15-minute conversation with Bob, talked with Kevin and I about the business, and he told us, he's like, "I'm not here just to sign autographs and meet fans. I'm here to learn about the business and interact with these Hall of Famers and learn something from them." I wasn't a huge fan of his on the show. I have the utmost respect for that gentleman right now.
Yep, and like we said, we're not knocking anybody who didn't do it, but you should learn from that.
Yes.
And next time you go to a convention or even a wrestling show that you might be part of, a card that you may be part of, and there's, you know, they bring in any kind of wrestling legend, you know, and
Not
it
even a
doesn't have
legend.
to be a Hall of Famer. It doesn't even, you know,
Just somebody who's put their
somebody
dues in.
who's you know, worked in the mainstream business.
And we saw it at Warriors of Wrestling too. Who swung over to our table to talk with Bob about some things at Warriors?
Jay George.
Jay George stopped over. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Orton, it's very nice to meet you. Would you mind?"
Chris Levin.
Chris Levin, the referee for Warriors of Wrestling, and they both stopped over and like, "Hey, would you mind like critiquing my match and how things went? Can you let me know what you think of it and what I can improve on?" And that's great. That's
It's respect.
It's amazing respect.
It's respect, and use a perfect example of what we said, that it doesn't have to be a Hall of Famer, it doesn't have to be a legend.
Yeah.
All the female wrestlers, student or otherwise,
Yes, at Warriors of Wrestling.
approached Casey Carlisle prior to their match, asked her to, you know, make a purpose to watch their match, and then all came to her after
And said, "Hey,"
and, you know, what did you think? And Casey, who shoots from the hip,
Yep.
is not BSing anybody, and she, you know, she gave him the blunt, utmost honest answer.
but that's what they were
But
looking. But that's what you want.
That's the respect, that they're respecting Casey and respect her craft enough to say, you know what, I would like you to give me opinion on what I do and what I can do better or what I'm doing wrong. And that's why I said Casey never wants to admit
that people know her.
her, but you know, maybe she just doesn't see it. But
I mean,
they know her. You drop her name any indie show, they know her.
And the thing is, Casey doesn't like to think that people know her, but we were talking with her. She's wrestled in 18 states in the United States. For anybody that's on the indie scene, that's a big accomplishment. I'm sorry, but like,
Yep.
she's wrestled everywhere from New York, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Maryland, all the way out to Ohio and Colorado and Texas, and people know Casey. So
And you know what? And she's got her goals too. I mean, she's a little older than a lot of these, you know, young kids that we've interviewed.
Casey, you're not old. It's okay.
Okay. Well,
We love you, Casey.
You're always younger than me. Just remember that. And but she still has her goals. She still wants to wrestle in Mexico and Japan and places, you know, maybe in the UK, places, you know, like Thunder Rosa has been to, and Jenny Rose, and Devienne.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, you know, everybody's got their goals. It doesn't matter. I mean, Thunder Rosa is not a spring chicken either.
No.
You know, she told us she's a lot older than a lot of the ones she works with.
But look who the WWE just signed. What was her name? The Japanese female wrestler that just signed to NXT.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But she's not a spring chicken.
Yeah, well, Justin Liger's not a spring chicken either.
But Justin Liger is one of those guys that they were just bringing in for one. She's coming in to like make an impact in the Divas division. So you're never too old to make it in this business. If you make it all around the world, You can get to the
You know,
big
maybe
show sooner
maybe
or
your
later.
WWE career is not going to be 20 years. Maybe it's only 8.
Or,
But you know
or
what?
4 or 5.
Maybe you just your career goals are just to get to a certain spot and to make an impact. And
I mean, Casey was telling about a couple tryout matches she had. She said they didn't go well. She told us what happened, and she's like, you know what? It's not going to stop me. It's not going to prevent me from getting back there and having another tryout match. You learn from what happens, whether it was another person's fault or her fault, missed spot, whatever it happens to be. She's going to go back and she's going to do it again. She's going to do it better than ever.
And she's great though. I mean, everybody who's seen her wrestle, she's a heel, and she's a great heel.
Oh yeah.
If there was to be an intergender match with anybody, it would probably like him and her and Darius Carter. I think would be great.
That would be good, but
Really
I also want her and Too Hot Steve Scott to be the selfie click.
Yeah, well, that's not because of her wrestling gimmick,
but
it's just that every time you turned around, she was taking
a selfie yesterday,
and it just got to the point where it was just becoming a joke. Where we were leaving the wrestling, the show Warriors of Wrestling, and I said, "Oh wait, stop." She has to take an exit selfie. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I could take one of those."
but no, her and Darius Carter would be just a brilliant.
Darius Carter is a heel from the moment he leaves his car to the moment he gets back in his car.
The last time we were there, the lights were on. They were folding up chairs. Fans were there. He like stiff armed a child in the face, and
get away from me.
I'm like, he's selling a leg injury.
He smacked a piece of paper
out of a kid's
piece of baby. Smacked the paper out of the kid's
hand.
Yeah.
He's brilliant when it comes to selling and using his gimmick 24/7.
The fake high fives, kid. High five.
I'm gonna put my hand up. Oh,
puts
no,
his hand
right.
up and then just walks away. So
he's
good.
He's one of the very few nowadays who believes in kayfabe, and maybe that's the reason. Maybe he oversells kayfabe because nobody else uses it. So
it's still funny though.
It's hilarious. I love it.
I mean, literally the minute he walked in yesterday, he walked in and people started turning around and waving and everything, and he was just like waving them off like don't wave at me.
Don't put your hand in my face.
He's like, don't wave at me. You should be waving. One guy was doing the arms up in the air, praising him, and he turned around. He went, whatever.
He's a great heel. I'd like to. I mean, how old is he?
I don't know.
He's younger. He's
young.
not.
He's young.
He's younger than JT and I. He's maybe
young.
early 20s, maybe.
Trying to call me old?
JT, we're the same age.
Yeah.
When's your birthday, JT?
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. So 88 then.
No.
Oh, you're 87?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're like 7 months older than me. All right.
Not great.
God, you guys are ancient. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I told Casey, I was like, yeah. I heard Casey say how old she was to Justin Credible, and I was like, Casey, how old are you? And she told me, and I was like, Casey, you don't look a day older than me. And she's like, thank you. Like, she was like a huge compliment to her, which was funny.
Give away the age.
No, we won't. Just to hang out with her for the whole weekend and kind of experience, not the non-wrestling side of Casey, just her signing autographs and just hanging out and just being a normal person, and she had a really good time, and I'm really happy. She spent a couple nights at the house, and she left this morning. I just talked to her a little while ago. She got home perfectly fine, and she said she had a really, really good time, and that's kind of the goal.
Well, when you're with Damage 365 Radio, you know you're going to have a good time.
I mean, it's true. I don't want to brag. I mean, look, we've brought in lots of talent. I mean, like we said, this is the first time we've ever invested in a talent. We've just brought talent just so they can get a little exposure out there. We've brought the Down Boys. We brought Pitbull Gary Wolf, former ECW tag champion, former tag champion Axel Rotten. We've brought to a show Christy Kiss. Nyla Rose, former ECW's Angel Orsini. The list goes on. We brought this time we brought Casey Carlisle and Justin Credible, and then our first major investment was Bob Orton. And we're not going to say that we're geniuses, and whoever we're bringing is going to be a guaranteed shoe-in profit maker. Everybody's going to go through their ups and downs. People are going to take their beatings. But
you're going to lose money from time to time.
We're going to do it smart, though. We're not just going to, We're not just gonna bring people for the sake of bringing